Okay, welcome everybody. Today we're going to sort out the fuel lines on my MK4 Supra. I'll show you in a minute what we've got to fix, but first of all I've ordered a kit to replace it, so let's have a look, see what we get inside. We have one short hose, let's see where that goes, one longer hose, another hose, and one filter. So that gives us what we've got in the kit. Let's have a look and see what we need. So we can see on the Amayama website here that there's actually 3 fuel pipes. 1, 2, and 3. So for those there seems to be a fuel return, a fuel main pipe, and then also fuel number 2 for fuel return tube. So let's have a look and see where we end up in trying to identify which 2 hoses we're actually going to be replacing. Okay, so now I'm going to go under the car, have a look, see where the pipes are and see what we're looking at, why it's leaking and which ones we're going to take out. So let's get under. So we're underneath now. You can see the pipes coming over the rear subframe there, and you can see that my fuel pipes, all 3 of them, so running left to right, there's one slightly larger one, smaller long one, and another larger one. And there's a right old stink of fuel underneath here, and next to those are my 2 brake lines. So let's just follow those forward, and we can see that the outermost pipe is soaking wet there. So that's the one that has corroded through and needs to be replaced. So obviously going to replace everything in the kit, and I'm going to chase down to replace the other one, because I would suggest it's part of the fuel system. That one needs doing as well, if one of them's corroded through, and it was also corroded through previously because I did replace a section of the return last year with a bit of pipe, so you'll see that later as I take these ones out. But yeah, so you can see already there is my piece of tray that protects these pipes and keeps them up out of the way in the front. There's the piece of tray still left on there, and going forward is the fuel filter. That was replaced a couple of years back as part of the servicing I did when I first got the car, and the various other lines disappear off up into there, and we'll trace them from under the bonnet in a minute. Okay, so we need to take the top cover off. Quite easy, 10mm. And now we can see that there are quite a number of pipes coming into the top of the And there we go, you can see there's a number of pipes now coming into the top of the fuel tank. So it seems we've got one here, we've got the pump, sender, power, what have you here, but you can see there's one pipe coming in here, there's another pipe coming in here, there's another pipe coming in here, and there's another one that goes off to the fuel filler, I think there. So there's certainly 3 pipes here. Quite what we need to be, who knows, but yeah, I'd certainly like to be replacing all 3. So let's see what we've got and how it ties up with what we've got here. So again, coming back to our pipes, short one goes up the front somewhere, the 2 long ones, one has a banjo on there, and so I assume that is the one that is going to replace this pipe here. A banjo fitting and a banjo fitting. If we look at this pipe here, we seem to have 2 of this type of sort of what you'd call, I don't know, maybe bane end or something like that, that would just slot into flexible pipe. So fortunately, I think for my repair I bought some flexible pipe last time. So yeah, so where that one is going to go, I suggest is coming in and is going to go into that short piece of flexible that connects onto this return here. So you can see that's new pipe. That's what I replaced last winter as part of the work that I did on the car that year. This winter she's had a rebuilt gearbox, W58. I've put all new bearings in that, so let's see how that goes up. But I need to get these fuel pipes changed in order to start it. The last thing I want is it going up in flames. So it looks like first thing I'm going to have to do is drop the fuel tank in order to get these pipes that are routed over the top down underneath, all out of the way. Just have a quick look, see what we can see underneath at the back. Is this set protection here. So I'm not sure if you can make it out, but I'll remove that in a minute, and you can see that there's already been part of the pipe replaced there. That's what I had to do last year, as that piece had rusted through and was already leaking. So yeah, the writing's been on the wall, but now I'm going to have to do the full fuel line replacement. Okay. Another 10mm bolt. As you can see, that thing there, a great collector of stones and rubbish, and a great, once it's clogged up, a great water trap, which is I think why the pipe had rusted through last time. So you can see there, it comes down. I've had to Jubilee clip in piece of replacement pipe already, and away off over the top of the rear subframe. Okay, next day plus one. What we're going to do is start by lowering the fuel tank so that we can get the pipes out from over the top of it. We'll then need to obviously vent and drain those hard pipes, get them out and out of the way, and then install the new ones. I've decided, since the kit that I've bought doesn't come with the vapor return line, it's only vapor return, so I'm going to leave that in as the hard pipe for the moment, and most probably look to get some other fresh pipe in order to replace that one, because it's most probably just as rusty as the other. So yeah, if we have a look at the diagram here, here's our fuel tank, and we have these 2 brackets here that hold it up in place. So what I'm going to do is loosen these off, and hopefully that should give me enough gap to just be able to withdraw the 2 pipes that come out of the top. So what you got here is the tank cover. So you can see up there is one bolt, and the other one is there on this back side. And then looking through, there'll be one, you can see up here, and then there'll be one on the other side. So I'm just going to try and screw them out about halfway, try and lower the tank down so that I can get a gap. Let's see how that goes. There we go, I've just done those two furthest forward on the car. You can see there's a little bit of daylight down through there, so that's lowered it, and hopefully that'll be enough that I can just slide those couple of pipes out and slide the new ones in. Okay, so I was looking at removing the fuel filter and looking at the new one. So contained within the box are a couple more bits and pieces. Looks like we've got a couple of bayonet kind of end piece fittings. This piece was actually in the end of there, so I assume that will go into the end of the fuel filter. You can see there's the flow direction, so we know which way that goes. And we've got a packet of copper washers, very useful for reassembling all of this. Okay, so let's have a look at taking out the old fuel filter. Okay, so we can see here the fuel filter. So that was replaced a couple of years ago. So from there, obviously one pipe comes in, the other one goes out through a little right angled arm and away up into the engine bay somewhere. So if we remove this one, that'll then start the draining of the system as well. So let's crack on with that. Okay, 14 mil, bigger than 18. Fuel beginning to flow, so what I'm going to do now is go and crack the banjo at the other end so that it can drain. $17 spanner. Crikey, that's tight. Let's see if we can. Okay, so a little bit of investigation work as where we go from the fuel filter. You can follow this flexible hose and it goes all the way to, if you can see it right in the background there. See, can I zoom? No. Right the way into there. So it looks like we're going to need something on a long socket to get up, or a socket on an extension to get up under there. This would have been so much easier to do a few weeks ago when there was no gearbox in here. Crap. Okay, let's see what we can work on to get up there to crack that one off. Okay, so we've got ratchet, a couple of long extensions, and right up through onto the bar where we are there, and obviously that breaks the seal, so there'll be a bit more fuel dropping down again when you do that. But it seems to have worked. I'm sure it's going to be fun and games getting the next one back up in there. Okay, so that's the supply done. So now if we follow the return line up, which is this wiggly one here, which you can't see very well, but it comes up to this junction, or this spring clip just here on the manifold. Okay, so the clip moved back, pliers on him, wiggle it back. Is it going to dribble a bit of fuel? No, it's not. That's okay. Right, now back under the car. So with everything detached at the front end, all I'm going to do is go along and remove each of the clips, being careful not to break them because they are a bit old and brittle and fragile, and then drop the 2 pipes down out of the way. So we can see the lines been pulled down. Trace it back to here. You can see that's where they go up over the subframe. So over the top of that subframe arm into the kind of cavity of back above the diff. And then over top of the rear of the subframe before coming back out and up onto the top of the tank. If we look at the top end again here, completely remove this banjo, you can see that there are brass washers that's at either side of it. So that is one we're removing, and then the other one is this one here. There we go. There's that one to go and that one to go. Okay, what we can see here is a short piece of pipe that where I cut it a while back last time when it was already leaking. So this was the return line. The actual supply line, you can see, goes into a flexible straight away from the banjo. This bit's all flexible there. So, looking at where it came out. So this is the other end of the flexible supply. There we go, there's those bits. Alright, let's see where we can trace those to. So again, back under the car, what we can see, if I can get the camera anywhere near it, oh, let's go in upside down here. What you can see there is where the line transitions from a hard line to a flexible on the line there. So I could either try and break that, cut it, or see if I can pull it all down in a water. Let's see how that goes. You can also see the section of flexible in the other line I had to put in where that completely rusted through from the previous repair. Okay, fuel lines are out now, so if we have a look, that's where the return comes off the tank. That was where I'd already put in a piece to bypass the first leaky section, following along. Again, quite a bit of surface rust in places, quite badly pitted here. Comes all the way along back into a flexible section, and that's where return comes off just above them, or just under the inlet manifold. I'm tracing back the supply line. Okay, you got your banjo on the end that goes onto the top of the tank. You've got a section most probably maybe up to best part of a metre of flexible before it is joined into hard pipe. Hard pipe again, rusted in places but not so bad. That comes along all the way up to your fuel filter. Fuel filter up to that banjo, probably somewhere underneath the inlet manifold. So not in bad condition. Well, saying that, yeah, they are in bad condition because they've already failed on me twice. So yeah, let's lay out the new pipes and see what they look like next to it. Okay, coming back to the diagram, it looks like we have our fuel filter and then the one flexi that I've removed, and that comes up to just, it seems like a joining piece, and then there's another flexi that goes up to the end of the fuel rail. So I think the longer braided one that I've got bypasses this junction or connection here and turns what is two pipes into one pipe just from the end of the fuel filter up to the end of the fuel rail. Let's go and have a look if that is the actual case. Okay, picking up on the end of the fuel rail there. So there is our banjoed connection there. So yeah, I think very much that, yeah, what we're doing is bypassing this. So running my hand down and go from hard pipe. I can feel it goes round and in underneath. Man, that would be a nightmare to bloody get that off. So yeah, so maybe the piece isn't too long after all. Just needed a good set of instructions to tell you what you're doing and where you're connecting things. And of course there's the charcoal canister that I'm going to leave in place for the moment. Right, in removing everything that needs to be done, I ended up taking off the inlet manifold, big chunk, just to get me better access down there. The extra bits that came off was the pulsation damper and another hose that comes up, and then that one is the one that connects onto the end of the fuel rail. That one nearly had me bloody given up. You could just leave it in place. You know, it's once you disconnect that, put it out of the way. These two bolts that go in here, again, one you can get to, not too bad. The other one, it's done up so tight, ridiculously tight, but got to it, got it done. Start to reassemble all that top end now. Okay, had to stop filming for a while just to blooming crack on with it. All the inlet manifolds back together now, and the first pipe is connected onto the end there. As you can see, the little black union, and the flexi goes down, and that's going to go to the filter down below. Okay, both fuel lines fed up through the gap. I managed to make big enough after dropping the tank slightly on those rear mounting brackets. So I've now just got to work that one obviously into the flexible, this one round onto the banjo. See how that turns out. Right, seems to be about it. It's all in there nice and snug. Tried not to kink anything, as you can see. Everything seems to have a nice bend radius on it. A little bit of clearance. There was a bracket that was sat on there. That isn't going to go back in, so I can go in the spares pile, but let's pull that tank back up in place and check that nothing's trapped and everything's good under there. So system's all back in and just started it, everything's running fine. So just a final look before I button everything up. So again, looking down around connections to the tank, everything fine, no sign of any leaks. Okay, looking under the car, hoses are good coming down there. Coming down underneath the old heat shield, kind of holding them in place. Into, again, the protectors which have been put in place all the way down the car. So again, looking all the way along, they're all tucked in underneath there. The one thing is that the old system had a nice little dog leg that took you into this gap right here that you can see with it coming straight away without a piece up. It doesn't quite fit, though there is a nice kind of section piece here where I've just managed to tuck it nicely behind so it's free, held up and clear. And then you can see further up there, two hoses disappear up into the engine bay, and of course the vapor return line is still in there as the hard steel pipe as well. So again, looking down into the gap there, you can see the one hose that comes up and goes onto the end of the fuel rail. And the other hose I've brought down underneath, so the return line goes down underneath the what you call it, the ABS unit there, comes down and connects into a flexi, the flexi section just onto the end of the pipe coming out under the inlet manifold there. Though I did notice that on his website he's got some showing a banjo fitting connected direct onto this top little connector here, which looks like another pulsation damper, which is a bit like the one taken out underneath. But there we go, it's in. I'm going to secure it up most probably a little bit more. I might try and get rid of this extra length, see if I can do that, and then look at doing something with the vapor return line in the future. Okay, so final configuration under the bonnet. So the first pipe comes up, and as I've previously arranged it, comes up and ends the fuel rail. For the return, what I've done, taken the pipe as it comes in, bypassed it completely, put a new banjo, short banjo in the top here, and it's just got the fuel pipe running out around there. Much happier with that tidier arrangement. So it does mean that you need to remove this other fuel pipe that comes up to that top union next to the pressure regulator at the top here. That slots up through underneath. It's a bit tricky, but you can get it fairly easy. And that's it. Job done for this phase. Like I say, maybe next winter I'll think about the hard lines, and not too sure what to do with the fuel canister. Though I think as a part of a good engine bay detail, it all needs a good clean up. So final summary, yeah, a good kit. It does what it says it will do. It's not a complete OEM replacement, complete plug and play. It has replaced my two lines that have failed on me. That's the main fuel supply line and the fuel return line. When I looked at those, it was one of each that had failed in various places. So yeah, there's a few bits and pieces that I would have thought should have come with the kit. A set of instructions would have been fantastic. Just a diagram showing where to connect, where each piece goes, would save a lot of bother and give anyone installing it a lot more confidence. But anyhow, hopefully this video guide will give you a bit more confidence on how to get on and do it. All right, happy days. See ya.